is up, Dallas Mavericks fans and MFFLs all around? Your Dallas Mavericks took down the Los Angeles Clippers, the 4th seed Los Angeles Clippers. Final score, Dallas Mavericks 123, the Los Angeles Clippers 93. That's a 30-point game. Look at the guy who started it all. I talked about yesterday pretty much a pregame thing, a pregame video. I feel like the Dallas Mavericks, if they're going to be able to pull out a victory in Game 5, again, playing on the road, so you know the Clippers are going to come in ready to go. They have a lot to prove. They kind of stole one from you in Game 4. You were going to have to come out ready and aggressive. And I said Luka Doncic, although he's dealing with a knee injury, and that's very unfortunate, but we know when the postseason comes, a lot of people are not going to give anybody really any grace, especially a team with the players, the caliber of a Luka Doncic, a Kyrie Irving, those level type players. The playoffs are about get the job done by any means necessary. Luka Doncic yesterday, 35 points, 10 assists, 7 rebounds. I believe, 39 minutes? This is a guy that you saw him laboring a little bit over the last couple games with that, dealing with that knee. But I said, the one thing I want to see Luka do is stop settling for easy 3-point step back shots. Obviously, we know that's a big part of Luka Doncic's game. And I have no problem with taking them here and there, whether they're falling or not within the flow of a game, because what it does is keeps the defense completely honest. They have to respect that 3-point shot, because if Luka gets rolling from behind the arc, we do know that's when big blowout games begin to happen. But Luka Doncic, I really I believed if he was going to be the guy, I guess, that we've been counting on for so long. Obviously, now he has a formidable team surrounding him. You're looking at a Luka Doncic coming into this game. I wanted to see him be aggressive and attack the basket. I've seen too many times in these first few games of the series, Luka Doncic struggling a little bit, because as the game begins, I always say Luka Doncic is a tone setter. He's that type of player. He's going to be able to kind of give the energy to the rest of the guys when you're looking at what they're going to be able to bring on the defensive side and the offensive side. Because yes, we could talk about the different flows. Obviously, a guy like Kyrie Irving, he's more of our up-tempo guy. And we're talking about looking at a Kyrie Irving yesterday. It was about 6 of 14, I believe about 35 minutes played, 6 of 14 on field goals, 14 points, 6 assists, 4 rebounds. Also ends up with a couple steals. This is what I'm going to say. Yesterday, it's not about the stat sheet. That's probably the biggest thing you can take away from this Dallas Mavericks victory over the Los Angeles Clippers in Game 5 in the first round. You're going to say it was about guys just getting the job done and not worrying about the stat sheet. And that, to me, I'm going to say that's playoff basketball. That's winning playoff basketball. You're going to have your star player. Then you're going to have a guy usually that can kind of be that 1B type role player, whatever, on any given night. But what the Dallas Mavericks did last night was put together a total team effort. That started with guys like a Maxi Kleber, your Derek Lively, off the bench. You're looking at a Daniel Gafford. You're looking at PJ Washington, Derek Jones Jr. yesterday, who played amazingly by his standard. I'm talking about a guy that we have become very accustomed to, as in Derek Jones Jr. Just being that hustle guy, giving lots of energy and playing defensively, the aggressiveness that he brings on the defensive end of the ball, Derek Jones Jr., it cannot be duplicated by many, other than maybe a guy like PJ Washington. Like I said, those are just some of my favorite hustle players in this entire league. Not even just being biased as a Dallas Mavericks player, but when you're watching them religiously, you're watching them all the time, there are just some guys that find their own role, whether it's just because sometimes I need you to score a little bit more tonight, sometimes I need you to play lockdown defense, get out, give me extra rebounds, dive on loose balls. You saw many guys doing that. You saw Kyrie Irving doing it last night. To me, this was just a total team victory, but it was led by the aggressiveness of a Luka Doncic, a tone setter, a guy that I saw attack the basket many times, did not hesitate, and did not worry about that knee injury. Obviously, we do know that sprained knee issue that I believe Jason Kidd said he believes it is. This is the postseason. At the end of the day, is very unfortunate, but we know, especially national media, you're not giving Luka Doncic any, I guess you want to say, any leeway or any excuses, because when you talk about the best of the best, and we're talking about the best players in the entire world, which Luka Doncic definitely is one of those, we're looking at, there are a lot of times you're going to be expected to fight through it, tough it out if you can, and that's what Luka Doncic did. We're talking about a guy, an MVP candidate, the NBA scoring champion. He now has a team surrounding him. Obviously, Luka Doncic in the first few years of his career in the NBA, we matched out with the Los Angeles Clippers multiple times at this point. Talking about a healthy Kawhi Leonard, Paul George. Then you have Lou Williams here. Then you have Marcus Morris, Patrick Beverley, Zubac still on team, Nick Batum. They have many guys. Obviously, you can continue the list. And obviously, we're talking about a lot of times whether it's due to some injuries of a Kristaps Porzingis or something like that, you're looking at Tim Hardaway Jr. being our second best player on the team a lot of times. At the end of the day, we all know at the end of the day, that's not going to get it done. The Dwight Powell, you're running out there as your starting center. You just now see what it's like when Luka has a team of as he's surrounded by guys that are just great fits. Everything we're talking about was the defensive pressure, guys that know how to get out in transition, and guys that know how to just give us extra possessions to be able to create a consistent offense. That's what we kind of struggle with. So it's good to see the Dallas Mavericks put up 123 points in such a pivotal Game 5. Kyrie Irving, like I said, being that co-star, that 1B type player on this team, and who many believe, and I believe after the game, PJ Washington says himself, and I'm sure Luka Doncic would definitely co-sign this. Kyrie Irving is the leader of this team. He's the one that has that experience. We know Luka Doncic is the best player. Kyrie Irving is right there with him, but he has that experience and he has that calming presence that you can tell the rest of the team feeds off of. And it's beautiful to see as it continues to grow and grow, the chemistry. That's why I said the more games, to me, it kind of doesn't bother me that we are taking it somehow to 6 games. Hopefully we can shut it right down right there. But this Dallas Mavericks team, I felt, had to get themselves comfortable with each other, figure out what exactly your role is, and that's what exactly starting to come together. Looking at a Kyrie Irving, like I said, in about 35 minutes, 14 points, 6 assists, 4 rebounds. But a guy also ends up with a couple steals in this game. And what you saw from Kyrie Irving, just outside of a couple beautiful plays, one down the sideline, down the court side, defender on his hip, Norman Powell, I believe, behind his back, down the basket, gets the and one, falling to the ground and gets hype. You have PJ Washington, Derek Lively's guys surround him. That's what this team feeds off of, getting out in transition. That opens up so much for guys like a Derek Jones Jr., a PJ Washington here and there, a Josh Green. You know, Derek Lively has shown the very, I guess you want to say, important and valuable ability to also run the floor as a big man, and Daniel Gafford in certain spots as well. And Daniel Gafford yesterday, I believe in 19 minutes, I believe, of game time played, 8 points, 5 rebounds, a block. Derek Lively, 25 minutes played yesterday, a big 12.7 rebounds, a block himself, and he just was a great defensive presence. Daniel Gafford as well. Like I said, just that two-headed combo, that two-headed monster at the center position. We have not had something similar to that. Obviously, talking about running the Dwight Powell out there as our starting center the last few years, especially talking come postseason time, there were just some mismatches other teams could find with us. But when you're talking about having a two-headed monster that can do different things, Daniel Gafford is going to be more of your physical, I don't say down low presence, but he's just a physical, big body type guy. Then you look at Derek Lively, has some of that still in him, but he's the more athletic, rangy guy, and you can see that gets lots of people trouble because now you're having to try to figure out what exactly is going to be my game plan playing against both of these different types of centers. It's paid major dividends for the Dallas Mavericks, and I want to see it continue. Also, look at a guy like Derek Jones Jr. ends up with 12 points yesterday, and I'm going to say 3 blocks. 3 blocks. Derek Jones Jr. to me was the biggest X factor in this game. We talk about PJ Washington, and I'm going to say this right now. I said yesterday during the game. A Derek Jones Jr., a Derek Lively, and a PJ Washington. Those are 3 guys on this team. Those are the stats don't show everything. They don't tell everything. Sometimes you look at the final box score for these 3 guys especially, but some of the other guys, but obviously. But look at a Derek Jones Jr., a PJ Washington, a Derek Lively. Sometimes the stat sheet won't do justice to what exactly they brought to the game. And PJ Washington, I believe yesterday, he's 1 of 7 on field goals total or something like that. You look at what he was able to bring just against that defensive pressure on Paul George. We're talking about the James Hardens. These are the guys that you have got to have great perimeter defenders. And when you now have some low post defense, some rim protection, that's going to do nothing but make the Dallas Mavericks even more aggressive. Then when you're looking at other guys like a Maxi Kleber yesterday, who I've said a little bit, he has played a little, I guess you want to say a little more consistent. We're talking about especially on the defensive side of the ball in this series. I give him lots of credit for that. But yesterday, some of the kind of issues I've been talking about prior to Game 5, the Dallas Mavericks have not been able to knock down outside shots consistently. You're going to get the ball fed to you, obviously. You know, when you have a Luka Doncic, a Kyrie Irving, there's going to be lots of driving kicks, and there's going to be lots of wide open 3-point shots for you. This is going to be one of those games I'm hoping that a Maxi Kleber can continue to feed off of and just get better and better and continue this trajectory that he's on right now. Just being a nice, solid piece, a role player for this team, a valuable role player for this team going forward into Game 6 and on, hopefully. Now, look and talk about it, and I believe Maxi Kleber plays about 19 minutes, I believe it was. Ends up with 15 points. All 7 of his field goals were from the 3-point line, knocks down 5 of them, and playing some solid, just heady help defense yesterday. It was just a great team effort, and I want to see the Dallas Mavericks continue this thing because now you have no excuses. coming back home for game 6. You have the perfect opportunity to send the Los Angeles Clippers home and maybe blow that entire thing up. We'll see how it goes, but the Dallas Mavericks now are in the driver's seat of this playoff series against the Los Angeles Clippers, the 4th seed Los Angeles Clippers. And if you're serious, if you're locked in, game 6 should be a game you want to see the Mavericks come in ready to roll from the tip off of the game. Also in minutes yesterday, Josh Green played 18 minutes and Dante Exum playing about 10. The numbers weren't crazy, talking about scoring-wise or anything like that, but Josh Green and Dante Exum, they both also added some of that perimeter pressure. And one thing you saw, one of the game plans that Jason Kidd kind of employed was we start playing James Harden pretty much full court. That forced him to work a little harder. That forced him to have to do a little bit more and exert a little bit more energy. And that was going to take some obviously off of him when it comes to the defensive side of the ball and also the flow offensively. So the Dallas Mavericks are just in a good place right now. Yesterday was just a great showing from a team that should have felt a lot of pressure on themselves, kind of letting a couple of these games slip away that they probably shouldn't have, and I'm sure they felt the same way as the fan base did. Also, looking in about 6 minutes yesterday, late game pressure, obviously, late game situation. Obviously, Jaden Hardy comes in off the bench, scores 14 points. It was just great to get him some run. I mean, this is the postseason. I'm gonna say Jaden Hardy is gonna be a guy that should be looking for our 6-man role going into next season. I personally don't believe Tim Hardaway Jr. will be back. We're talking about an expiring contract. It could seem to be very valuable during this offseason. We'll see if the Mavericks or Nico Harrison especially and the conglomerate in the front office look to make another move for another guy. We'll see exactly what the pieces will show. But a guy like Jaden Hardy, it's good to just be able to see him feel comfortable in his spacing. And I want to see him get a little bit more, opportunity if the time calls. Because again, going to the postseason, you never know who's going to be needed because injuries happen. And sometimes guys are just having an off night. And sometimes the situation, the game plan might call for switching it up and throwing a little adjustment in there. So Jaden Hardy, it was just good to be able to see him get a little comfortable and not be, I guess you want to say, because even you're talking about in a closeout situation, the game is pretty much completely out of hand. The Dallas Mavericks have it under control. Sometimes you'll still see young guys go out there and look a little bit nervous. Jaden Hardy is a guy that's ready to get buckets whenever it's time. So the Dallas Mavericks, as an overall product, like I said, it was just a great team effort. You can talk about who's the player of the game, some of these X-Factor guys. Sometimes I don't just give it to a Luka Doncic or a Kyrie Irving because some of these other guys, the role players, it might not show up necessarily as in the scoring. They weren't a scoring leader, but sometimes what they were adding and bringing to the game just helped out tremendously. But yesterday, I'm going to give the Luka Doncic MVP, not going to say Luka Doncic MVP, but the player of the game goes to Luka Doncic. Keep it very simple. Like I said, 35 points, 10 assists, 7 rebounds, also with a steal, and just great both side play. I'm going to say play on offense and defense. You saw many opportunities. One thing I was kind of worried about going to the game was Luka Doncic. Is he going to be quick on his feet? Are his knees going to kind of bother him? Is it going to mess with his mobility a little bit? You did not see that at all. You saw a guy that was out there ready to go, and he was not making any excuses for himself or the rest of his teammates. And obviously, you saw Luka Doncic. The number one thing a lot of people have a gripe is he going to complain a little bit. I don't have a problem with it if it's in the flow of the game and you're getting back. There were a couple possessions you may want to see Luka get back, but it was not one of those things where it completely seemed to be an issue at all. Luka Doncic, I feel, is very locked in. I feel like he takes pride on the defensive side of the ball now. That's the biggest thing I'm starting to see in this postseason, and hopefully they can just continue on for the rest of his career. Luka Doncic takes pride playing defense now because it's now a team product. We're not talking about, yes, we know Luka Doncic can score. He can get everybody the fancy assist, but a guy that's going to be able to play defense and at least be a solid defender. I don't need him to be a shutdown guy. We're talking about all NBA defensive guy, but I need Luka Doncic to be engaged. And if we're going to see this going forward for the remainder of his career, the Dallas Mavericks are going to be in a great place, and the rest of the league has a little bit more to look out for when you're talking about a Luka Doncic level type player. So again, the Dallas Mavericks took down the Los Angeles Clippers. The 5th seed Mavericks took down the 4th seed Los Angeles Clippers 123-93. Now bringing the series lead to 3-2. Dallas Mavericks now have a 3-2 series lead against the Los Angeles Clippers. Game 6 will be in a couple of days, I believe tomorrow actually. It'll be an 8:30 p.m. Central Time game. I believe the game will be on ESPN. The Mavericks, as of right now, I believe, according to Vegas, are opening up at 7.5, 8.5 point favorites. Again, that doesn't really mean anything. That's just kind of what the betting lines are right now. But the Dallas Mavericks are looked at as favorites right now. So you have got to take that, use it as motivation, and say we are that good of a team. We are better than the Clippers, at least for this season, and let's get the job done and get ourselves prepared for the next round opponent. The Dallas Mavericks once again took down the Los Angeles Clippers 123-93. You had great games by Luka Doncic. Again, Kyrie Irving, the role players, your PJ Washington, Derrick Jones Jr., Daniel Gafford, Derek Lively, Maxi Kleber. The list can go on, I'm going to say lock in, Dallas Mavericks fans, because this team could I guess it could potentially take us on a very exciting ride going forward. I'm not going to jump out ahead of anything. We're going to focus just on game 6. But again, if we can come out ready, locked and loaded, get the job done, we can set our sights to something much bigger as Dallas Mavericks fans and as the Dallas Mavericks team in general. So I appreciate you guys for all the support. Go ahead and like, comment, subscribe, and share. As always, pass this around to other like-minded Mavericks fans as yourself so we can continue growing the channel. We have now passed 1,000 subscribers like I've said before. The next goal is 2,000. I want to continue to grow with you guys as well. As always, go Mavs, and also enjoy the rest of your day.